It was supposed to be just another night, a quiet dinner, an anonymous table, and a simple steak that would remind him of the days when life wasn't made of marble walls and golden ceilings. But as Aaron Vale sat alone in that dimly lit corner of a small-town restaurant, dressed in a plain jacket instead of a $1,000 suit, he didn't know his entire life was about to change, not because of the meal, but because of a handwritten note slipped across the table by a trembling young waitress. If you believe in kindness, humility, and second chances, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Corner, where true stories of the heart remind us what humanity still means. Aaron Vale was the kind of man the world rarely saw smile. Once a bright, hungry college student from the wrong side of Chicago, he had built an empire of luxury hotels that now stretched across continents. But behind his billions and carefully polished grin, there was a loneliness that never left, the ache of losing his wife, Evelyn, to cancer 3 years ago, and the guilt of never being there enough when she needed him most. Since then, nothing, not the money, not the applause, had filled the quiet hollow in his chest. So, once every few months, he would escape. No entourage, no limousine, no tailored suits. Just himself, an old sedan, and the search for some forgotten part of who he used to be. That night, rain glazed the streets of a small town called Maplewood. He pulled into a modest restaurant with a flickering neon sign that read, "The Iron Skillet." Inside, it smelled of butter, smoke, and memories. The kind of place where people laughed too loud, where the staff knew regulars by name, and where the steak came sizzling on iron plates instead of silver trays. Aaron took a corner seat by the window, the glass fogged by the cold. A young waitress approached. Her name tag read Mara. She couldn't have been older than 23, but her eyes carried the heaviness of someone twice her age. Her white shirt was neatly pressed, yet her shoes looked worn to their last mile. She smiled, though there was something fragile about it, a smile that fought through exhaustion. "What can I get you, sir?" she asked softly. He ordered a ribeye, medium rare, and a glass of water. She nodded politely and hurried away. As she walked, he noticed the limp in her step, subtle but there. A tired rhythm that didn't belong to someone so young. When Mara returned with the meal, Aaron caught glimpses of her glancing toward the kitchen now and then, as if worried about someone watching her. Once, she brushed a strand of hair behind her ear and whispered something under her breath, her face pale as she stared at a text on her phone. Aaron didn't mean to care. He'd spent years numbing himself to the noise of the world, to other people's pain. But something about the tremble in her hand as she poured his water, something about the way her eyes avoided his, it stirred a memory. His wife's eyes, years ago, the night she told him she felt a lump in her chest and he brushed it off, promising they'd deal with it later. That guilt had carved a permanent shadow in him. Halfway through the steak, Mara returned with the check. But instead of walking away, she hesitated. Her hand, shaking slightly, slid a folded piece of paper beneath the receipt. "Thank you," she murmured, her voice almost cracking. And then she walked off, quickly disappearing into the back. Aaron frowned, unfolding the paper. Inside, in hurried, uneven handwriting, it read, "If you're not who I think you are, I'm sorry. But please, if you have any way to help, my little brother needs surgery tomorrow, and they're going to cancel it because I can't pay the rest of the bill. I've tried everything. I'll lose him. Please forgive me for asking. Mara." He froze. The letters blurred before his eyes. It wasn't the plea itself that hit him, it was the desperation behind it. He had seen such notes before in charity emails, business letters, requests that filtered through his staff. But this was written by someone who looked him in the eye while holding back tears. Someone who didn't know he could buy the hospital itself if he wanted. Aaron folded the note back, heart pounding. He rose quietly, paid the check, and left without a word. Outside, the rain had stopped, and a thin fog curled around the streetlights. For a long while, he just stood there, looking back through the glass at the restaurant, at Mara wiping down tables, forcing another tired smile for the next customer. He could have sent an assistant, a donation, a message. But something inside him said no. This time, he needed to face it himself. The next morning, the staff at Maplewood General Hospital were stunned when a luxury black car arrived. A man in a gray coat walked straight to the billing desk, handed over a folder, and quietly said, "Everything on Mara Lane's brother's account is cleared. All expenses, now and future, are paid." Before they could ask who he was already gone. Later that day, Mara rushed into the hospital after a shift, breathless, terrified, only to find her little brother laughing with a nurse, his surgery successful. The nurse handed her a small envelope that had been left for her. Inside was a simple note written on elegant stationery. Mara, you reminded me what it means to see someone's pain and not look away. Thank you for the note. You helped me remember who I am. A friend. That night, back in his penthouse, Aaron stood by the window overlooking the glowing city skyline. For the first time in years, he felt something pure. Not pity. Not guilt. But peace. Evelyn had once told him that real wealth wasn't about the empire he built, it was about the hearts he touched. He finally understood. Weeks later, the Iron Skillet received an anonymous investment that doubled its staff wages and repaired the old building. Mara never knew who was behind it. But every time a man in a gray coat passed by the window, she'd smile, as if she somehow knew. If this story touched your heart, if you believe that even the smallest act of kindness can ripple into something life-changing, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Corner to help more hearts find stories that heal. Special request, before you go, comment below, kindness never hides. Because sometimes, even a billionaire needs a waitress's note to remember what truly matters.